If you think your tight hamstrings are just something you're going to have to live with, think again, because I've got the solution for you on this week's Monday Moves with Marian. Well, hey, so nice to see you. I'm Marian Barnick, registered kinesiologist and movement coach. I help people improve the biomechanics in their body so they decrease pain, increase performance, and feel awesome. So if you want to be faster, you want to move better, you don't want those tight hamstrings, and you're finding that you're getting pain in your low back, or you're trying to move and you just can't generate that speed you want to, or you find that your posture is really changing and you know you need to work on it, it's your hamstrings. And people think, you know what, I've got tight hamstrings, I'm going to just have to learn to live with it. Well, you know what? Not on my watch, because I know the solution for those tight hamstrings. I'm going to show you those tweaks, those movement tips that I give to my clients that let them get there faster, because we're looking at the whole body. We're looking at the body as a whole, and we're seeing where the problem is, which is your hamstring tightness, and we're seeing what's going on in the rest of the body that's causing you not to get the results that you want. Because to be quite honest with you, you're doing it wrong. You are not stretching your hamstrings properly. And that's the problem. The problem is the foundation from which you were trying to build that flexibility in those hamstrings. So you've got to make sure to have proper alignment at your hips and at your knees. Anything out of alignment is going to take away from what you're really doing the stretching for, which is to increase your flexibility. So if you need to stretch other parts of your body in order to get in the position for your hamstrings, then that's where you need to start. So many people are putting their body in a position that they can't even hold with neutral postures and thinking they're stretching their hamstrings. That's why they're not stretching their hamstrings, and that's why you're not getting the results that you want. We can get those results so much faster when we stay in proper body alignment. When you look at your back, if your back is rounded when you're standing up to do your hamstring stretch, then you're not going to get the best benefit. Because it's not just your back, it's the pelvis. So when you look at your pelvis, if you can't have that nice neutral pelvic position prior to stretching the hamstrings, then you're not going to get the most benefit out of the time you're spending on the hamstring stretch.
When I'm looking at setting up my hamstring stretch here, I want to make sure that I have my ears over my shoulders and my shoulders over my hips prior to leaning forward and increasing that hamstring stretch. It's so important to make sure that that position is stable and I can hold that position prior to any stretch from side to side or to the front. And I want to keep that alignment with that back so I can improve on that flexibility and work the hamstrings properly to give myself quicker results.
That's what we need to change. When we look at these pictures, we can definitely see that there's some issues with the back positioning, with the hip positioning. We can also see that there's a problem with the knees. When your knees aren't fully extended, either we know that you've got those tight hamstrings and you're working on it, or you've got that position that is pushing your body too far out of where it's comfortable, and you're not going to get the benefit. You're compensating to make it look like you're stretching those hamstrings, but you're not. That knee staying bent for a reason, because you're pushing too far. You don't need to push that far to stretch the hamstrings. Something small and within proper body alignment is going to give you much better results than if you're putting yourself in a position that you think looks good, but it's not giving you the results. When you look at this picture and you see how high she has her leg on that railing, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's amazing. She must be super flexible. Well, you know what? What is your goal? Let's look at the goal. The goal is to increase the flexibility in your hamstrings. So you can do this till you're blue in the face, and if you do it this way, it's not going to help your hamstrings. You don't need to have your leg at this height unless you're super flexible. There's no reason to think you have to stretch your hamstrings in this position. And honestly, it's a belief system that the higher your leg is, the more stretch you're going to get. Because what's going to happen is your body's going to compensate. If you can't lift your leg up to this position without changing your body alignment, then it's not for you. There's other things you need to work on first before you get your leg up to that position. So when you look at that foot position, you know that you're taking your hip out of alignment. You know that it is not possible to keep your hip in the position it should be in, and that's why you're not getting that stretch in the hamstrings. We want to look at the hips. We want to break down the problem so we can find the solution.
So I'm at the track here and I've got a hurdle that I can use to stretch my hamstrings. But what I want to make sure is that I am using proper form. So when I lift my leg up, when I put that leg up on top of the device that I am using to stretch my hamstring, it can be the hurdle, it can be your stair, it can be the sofa, if you're allowed to put your feet up on there. And what I'm looking at is keeping that neutral posture. Again, ear over shoulder, shoulder over hip. But particularly for the hamstring stretch, to get the most benefit, I'm looking at the pelvic position, that I'm not swaying back or forward. And I'm also looking that that leg is in alignment so I know that the hip is in the proper position. Now, one of the things we can also look at is whether or not we can maintain that position moving into and out of the stretch.
So now let's take a look at this picture. This looks pretty good. You think nice V-sit, sitting up nice and straight, but I want you to look at the position again of the feet. The feet are going to tell us so much. So take a look at the feet, and do we see whether or not they're perpendicular to the floor, or are they flaring? If your feet are flaring when you're doing your V-sits for your hamstring stretch, then you're not getting the best benefit. You want to be able to stabilize your hips prior to leaning to one side or the other, or leaning forward to stretch those hamstrings.
When I'm setting myself up for a V-sit, what I want you to pay attention to here is the positioning of my feet. This is going to tell you if I have any compensations with my hip. As we saw in the other picture, those feet were flaring out to the sides. That is not what we want to do in order to get the best stretch. So those feet are staying perpendicular to the ground while I'm completing my stretching.
Even just sitting in that position can be fantastic as long as you have that nice neutral posture. And that's what we're looking for here. So if you can't keep your feet perpendicular to the floor and in that nice aligned state, then I want you to ease off of that V-sit and maybe just do one leg at a time, or make sure that you're working on that neutral posture with your back prior to using that V-sit for your hamstrings. So I hope this information on hamstrings has been really helpful in decreasing the time you have to spend on your stretching, improving the stretching you get from the time you put in, and also increasing your productivity and decreasing your pain. If you've got other joints that you're having trouble with, if you've got muscles that are really giving you a hard time and you would like to work on them, let me know with a comment below. Let me know what videos and what information would really be helpful to you. I would be happy to assist with that and would love to get the feedback. Have an awesome day.